Hello. In today's lecture, I'll talk about the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, which essentially forms a background or the basis for our equilibrium distribution function. So before I begin, I would like to cover some important mathematical identities that we will actually be using very frequently in today's lecture, and so it is, it would be better if we get them out of the way in the beginning of the lecture itself. So consider an integral I, which is minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus beta x square dx, and let's say we want to calculate this number or this value, and this actually happens to be integral of the Gaussian function, because this function, the Gaussian function, happens to be somewhat like that. So this is e to the power minus beta x square versus x, and so we are trying to calculate the area under this curve. Now, to calculate this integral, what we can do is, if I consider I square, the value I square, which is essentially I into I could write this as integral as minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus beta x square dx into minus infinity to infinity minus e to the power minus beta y square dy, where I note that x and y are actually dummy variables, so it doesn't matter, right? And I can actually split that into two integrals, and I can also do one more thing here now. I can write this as minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus beta x square plus y square dx dy. Now so far it may not seem very apparent why we are doing this, but what we can now do is that, having converted this into x and y, so in x and y plane, I can now look at calculation of this using polar coordinates. So polar coordinates would mean that I convert xy into r and theta coordinates. Okay, so these are polar coordinates. So what we can do is, the integral I square here would then become, so it would now, because the coordinates go from r to theta, or r and theta, so r will go from 0 to infinity and theta will go from 0 to 2 pi, and the integral will now change because x will be r cosine theta and y would be r sine theta. So we'll have e to the power minus beta r square dx dy, which is an area element, will now change to r d theta into dr. That would become the area element. And now this integral is actually quite simple to do, especially because theta, first of all, d theta integral just gives me 2 pi, and integral 0 to infinity r e to the power minus beta r square dr will actually come out to be 1 by 2 beta, and so I is square root pi by beta, which again is where we started off. This was minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus beta x square dx. So that is the first mathematical identity that we will use in today's lecture. The second is, if I take derivative of this integral now, of this integral here with respect to beta, so what would we get? So let's say take a derivative with respect to beta, so we'll get d by d beta of integral minus infinity to infinity e to the power minus beta x square dx can then be written as d by d into, so rather minus infinity to infinity into minus x square e to the power minus beta x square dx, where please note that the derivative with respect to beta, and this is equal to, then I can now take di d beta, which would be square root pi into minus 1 by 2 into beta raised to minus 3 by 2, and so the negative sign can actually be cancelled, and we'll have integral from of x square e to the power minus x beta x square dx to be 1 by 2 into square root of pi by beta cube, and that would be the second identity that I would be using today. And finally, I can take one more derivative, and actually you can now see maybe a pattern developing. I can take one more derivative and I can then write that integral minus infinity to infinity x to the power 4 e to the power minus beta x square dx will come out to be 3 by 4 into pi square root pi by beta raised to 5. Okay, so now having proved these identities or having laid them out, let's begin with the actual formal topic, which is the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. So to begin, we go to Maxwell, who in 1859 actually started this work, and according to him, he mentioned that knowledge of velocity and position of a gas, position of each gas atom or molecule at every time instant is not critically important. So he said that to describe the behavior of a gas, we don't need to know the velocity and position of every constituent particle in that gas at every given time instant. So what he said is that instead we can work with probabilities or fractions. So he said instead, if we know the percentage, so what percentage of particles at a certain, let's say, location, so that would be some position x, have velocities in a certain range. If I could have velocities, let's say, within a certain range at a given time instant. So he said that if we have this information, we can actually describe pretty much everything about the gas. So we don't need to know 10 to power 23 number of detailed or number of coordinates, and of course that same number of in 3 into 10 to power 23 number of velocity components, but rather if we just know the percentage or a fraction of particles at a given location which have velocities within a certain range, then that's more than enough. So what he defined was a function which is fcx, which describes now fraction, or I should say density, of particles having velocity in the interval cx and, or I should say xi x actually, because that is the, so xi x and xi x plus d xi x. So that becomes a fraction of particles which have this velocity. Now then comes Boltzmann. So Boltzmann actually took this idea further in 1872. So Boltzmann actually established, first of all, he established a probability that a system will be in a particular energy state, which is, let's say, E. So he established the probability of a system being in a particular in a particular, let's say, energy state. And how this information was helpful is, so to go further, let me choose a monoatomic gas to keep the discussion simple. Of course, the same principles would also be applicable to diatomic and triatomic gases. So this basically will ensure that I don't have to worry about vibrational or rotational motion in the gas. So there is only translation that will actually account for the energy. And what we'll also assume is, so these are assumptions. The second assumption that I'll make is that the gas is at rest. Okay, so there is no bulk motion and it's in thermal equilibrium at some temperature T. So using this, I can now write, so when Boltzmann established the probability, what he established was that the probability of energy state E will be proportional to e to the power minus E by kBT, which is actually Boltzmann's key contribution, and Kb essentially is the Boltzmann's constant. So Boltzmann then took this in this fashion, and now again, if I talk about, let's say, energy being equal to, let's say, m xi x square by 2, because as I said the gas is at rest, so molecules basically have their own energies in terms of kinetic energy. So I can now write F of, let's say, E equal to m xi x square by 2 to be, which is the same, could be F xi x is A e to the power minus m xi x square by 2 kBT. So that is the probability function according to Boltzmann. Now, since we are dealing with probabilities, we also need to normalize this dependence, so that normalization will actually give us this factor A, the factor of proportionality. So the normalization can actually be done by taking integral of f xi x d xi x. So that basically takes into account all possible velocities from minus infinity to plus infinity, and that integral should be equal to 1, which basically means that A into integral of e to the power minus m xi x square and d xi x is equal to 1. So this is the reason. So this integral now we have already seen in the early part of this lecture. So if you simplify, of course using certain transformation of variables, because you have e to the power, so you can maybe take beta to be square root of m by 2 kBt, and so if you calculate this number, what you'll get is that A will come out to be m by 2 pi kBt square root. So that gives me the distribution function. Secondly, if I want to calculate, let's say, the expected value of this distribution, so expected value is sort of like the mean value of this distribution, so that would be minus infinity to infinity xi x f xi x d xi x. Now if you know the distribution function, if you know what f xi x would look like, it would essentially have a peak near 0, right? So this is f xi x over xi x. So you can imagine that the expected value should be 0, and that is what you actually get, because f xi x is actually an even function and xi x is an odd function, and we're integrating from 0 to from minus infinity to plus infinity, so this will come out to be 0. But if I want to look at now the expected value of the mean velocity, now that would be 2 times 0 to infinity xi x f xi x d xi x, and this, if you work out, will come out to be, and this will actually have to be done using integration by parts, so you will get 2 kbt by pi m. And finally, the expected value of the velocity square will be minus infinity to infinity xi x square f xi x d xi x, and this is also an integral that we have already looked at in the first few segments of this lecture. This will come out to be kbt by m. So these are just some useful things for you to know, not that they're going to influence what we are going to do from now on, but the idea is that this is being done for one direction along the x. I can actually obtain similar results or identical results for other velocity components xi y and xi z. So I'm not going to prove them, but rather what I'll use now is one key fact, that if I want to look at now fraction of particles between velocity xi x, xi y, xi z, and let's say xi x plus d xi x, xi y plus d xi y, and xi z plus d xi z, then that should be proportional to e to the power minus m xi x square by 2 kbt, e to the power minus m xi y square by 2 kbt, and e to the power minus m xi z square by 2 kbt into d xi x d xi y d xi z. And now I can actually use a fact that the total kinetic energy should be the sum of the velocity or the kinetic energy given by the three velocity components. So I can replace xi x square plus xi y square plus xi z square to be xi square, and so this proportionality can then be written as e to the power minus m xi square by 2 kbt into d xi x d xi y d xi z. Now here comes an interesting part, that this number d xi x d xi y d xi z is essentially the volume or the infinitesimal volume in the xi space, the velocity space, or rather the speed space. So for any given, if you think of it this way in terms of coordinates, right? So if I look at maybe the velocity space, which has three directions, xi x, xi y, and xi z. So for any given point, let's say P in the velocity space, whose coordinates will be xi x, xi y, and xi z, the distance from the origin will actually give me the speed xi. So this element in the velocity space, d xi x, d xi y, d xi z, can actually be simplified further into, if we do integration in the speed space. Now the speed space would essentially be centered around 0, right? But it would actually have a spherical or rather the integration will in the infinitesimal volume will actually be done in a spherical infinitesimal element. So what it means is that at this point I can actually have maybe consider a sphere, and the element will actually be a spherical element or a spherical shell in this space, in the speed space. So this element will essentially have a thickness of d xi, And so if I can integrate over all speeds from 0 to infinity, I will actually have covered the integral over the three velocity components going from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, so what I will do is I will work in the speed space, which is the xi space, and the volume of the shell will actually be proportional to xi square d xi, because 4 pi xi square will become the volume of the inner sphere, and then you multiply by d xi, you get the entire volume. 4 pi is not very important right now because that's just a constant of proportionality which we can work out later, or which will be absorbed in the other constants later. So what we need to do is we need to integrate some constant of proportionality into e to the power minus m xi square 2 kbt, which is essentially the probability function, into the infinitesimal volume, and that should be equal to 1 to normalize the probabilities. And again, going back to the earlier discussion or the earlier identities, I can now show, or you can prove to yourself, that this factor a will come out to be 4 by square root pi into m by 2 kbt raised to 3 by 2. And so the probability or the number density will actually be written as 4 by square root pi m by 2 kbt 3 by 2 xi square e to the power minus xi square by 2 kbt d xi, which is the celebrated Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. So this describes how speeds, or what are the number of particles between two speeds given by xi and xi plus d xi. So this will basically give me how many particles are there between xi and xi plus d xi. So if you plot this function, now this is an interesting function. If you plot this function, because speeds only go from 0 to infinity, so we don't have anything on the negative xi axis. So this function will show you a behavior of this type, that there would be a maximum value which you can determine by taking the derivative of this function f xi and then evaluating what is the maximum value. So let me say this is the value of xi corresponding to the maximum value of f. And more significantly, if you calculate the expected value of xi, which would now be 0 to infinity xi f xi d xi, and this again you can do using integration by parts and using the identities that I have already shown to you. This will come out to be 8 kbt by pi m, and so this value happens to be, so this corresponds to the mean value of xi, and this will actually be somewhere here. So this corresponds to some value, or it would be basically a value which would be more than the value of xi corresponding to maximum of f. And further, if I take one more step and I try and calculate the expected value of xi square, which basically will tell me sort of the average kinetic energy in the system. So that would be 0 to infinity xi square f xi d xi, and this integral will come out to be 3 kbt by m. And so I can now say that the root mean square speed of gas particles, which is what the expected value of xi square actually sort of denotes, it's based on the kinetic energy, the average kinetic energy. So this will be square root 3 kbt by m, and this would be on the same picture somewhere, and I'm doing this for visual clarity. It doesn't mean that it's so far away, but it would be somewhere here. So this is how the Maxwell distribution looks like. rather the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution looks like, and these are some of its properties. And now what we'll do is, at some point we will use this Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution to derive or to see how it actually leads to the form of the equilibrium distribution, because this is actually, as I said, this is for a gas which is at equilibrium, right? So we have a gas at equilibrium so this is essentially the equilibrium distribution function that a gas molecule will obey. So in our lattice-Boltzmann calculations, this function is what characterizes the discrete equilibrium function that we use in our calculations. So I'll stop here, and in the next lecture I'll talk about the H theorem, which is also a very fundamental topic in lattice-Boltzmann method.